GBC24 and GTV. Good evening. My name is Seyoko and this is News Hour.
My name is Micheline Taka. You're welcome.
Now the headlines. UK's vote to leave EU generates bitter exchanges in European Parliament. Parliament approves €30 million loan facility for construction of 5 polyclinics in the Greater Accra region, and scientists discover large helium gas field in Tanzania. Now the news in detail. There have been bitter exchanges in the European Parliament during a debate on the UK's vote to leave the EU. A central figure at the Leave campaign, UK Independence Party UKIP leader Nigel Farage was booed, called a liar, and accused of using Nazi propaganda.
Our UK Prime Minister David Cameron is in Brussels for a meeting with EU leaders. Cameron, who announced his resignation after losing to the vote to remain in the Union.
Parliament has referred the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2016, which seeks to amend the date of the upcoming general elections from December 7th to November 7th to the Council of State for their input. On Tuesday, the Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Mr. Dominic Ayine, introduced the bill to Parliament after making 2 Gazette notifications on the draft bill. The Speaker, Mr. Edward Do Ajaho, said the Council of State had within 30 days to make their input and refer the document back to Parliament for consideration and adoption.
On the floor of Parliament on Tuesday, the Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dominic Ayine, presented the first reading of the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2016 to the House. The first Gazette notification of the Amendment Bill was published on March 9, 2016. After the first Gazette, a period of 3 months is required before the second Gazette. It also takes 10 days after the second Gazette, which matured in June, before it is forwarded to the Council of State for further consideration and inputs. The Constitution Amendment Bill 2016 seeks to amend the date for the upcoming general elections from December 7th to November 7th. A memorandum accompanying the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2016 also states that the bill amends Article 1124 of the Constitution to make provision for parliamentary elections to be held ahead of the expiration of the tenure of Parliament to ensure an effective and smooth transition. The Speaker of Parliament, Edward Do Ajaho, who received the 2 Gazette notification from the Attorney General, read further procedures to the amendment bill.
I've done the necessary checks, and this requirement of notice has been complied with, and necessary time limits have been fulfilled.
The Deputy Chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs, Mr. George Lowe, threw more light on the referral of the amendment bill to the Council of State.
The law says that when it comes to this House, because of the sensitive nature and the importance of that, the Constitution requires an input from the Council of State. So he has rightfully to send it to the Council of State. They have 30 days within which to look at it. And then it reverts to this House. And we will now kick in our amendment processes in this House. So when it comes back, Mr. Speaker will refer it to the appropriate committee. The committee will work on it, present its report, plenary will discuss, it will go into consideration, and then finally it will need 2/3 of members of this House pass.
The Electoral Commission in October 2015 announced plans to organize the general elections on November 7th instead of December 7th. The move was to enable the Commission to organize a runoff in case no presidential candidate is able to secure the 50+1 votes needed for a first-round victor, and also make room for preparation for a handover on January 7th. If the new date is approved by Parliament, this year's elections and subsequent ones will be held on November 7th.
Parliament has approved a €13 million loan facility.
Parliament has approved a €30 million loan facility that entails the construction of 5 polyclinics in the Greater Accra region. The facility between Ghana and the UniCredit Bank of Austria generated debate in the House. Some members suggested the construction of hospitals rather than polyclinics.
Government's plan to construct 5 polyclinics in the Greater Accra region was announced by President John Mahama in his State of the Nation address to Parliament this year. as part of measures to improve healthcare delivery in the country. On the floor on Tuesday, the House adopted the loan report of the Finance Committee on the Export Credit Agreement between Ghana and UniCredit Bank of Austria. The over 30 million euro loan facility is meant to construct and equip 5 polyclinics in the Greater Accra region. In a statement, the chairman of the Finance Committee of Parliament, Mr. James Aveji, said the polyclinics will be located at Adenta, Ashaiman, Botiano, Uduman, and Segi. The issue generated debate among the MPs over what the money would be used for.
Made a case for a health facility, but all along has not been given. If today a little amenity, a little polyclinic is being considered for Asham, Honorable Dr. Akutose, who had so much dollars for the construction of Kumasi Central Market, did not see anything wrong. And that if only a small facility like a polyclinic is being considered for Ashama, and he can say this is a coincidence. That is
Honorable
Ranking. I think that Mr. Speaker, so unfair. Mr. Speaker, as a leader of the House, I expect him to know the constituencies. Let's speak to the facts so that they know the difference between a constituency and a region. I was referring to Ashaman constituency. Ashaman, considering its population, deserves a general hospital. Mr. Speaker, not a polyclinic. Considering the population of Ashaman, Mr. Speaker, I want you to go on record that the government of the Republic of Ghana should consider giving Ashaman a general hospital and not a polyclinic. Polyclinics close at 2. So after 2, what happens?
Ashaman is close to the general hospital, which is being expanded of Tema. It's very close, just 2 kilometers away. Just 2 kilometers away. So it's appropriate.
After the dragnet process, the loan finally was approved. The intended health facilities are meant to provide access to quality health care and to train medical staff and technicians. Botiano English Amanfrom is one of the beneficiary communities. The MP for the area, Mr. Bright Demoji, was grateful to Parliament for approving the loan agreement.
This project should be prompt because if you look at the whole corridor, the western corridor, we don't have a facility that will take care of the large number of people that are especially along the coastal communities. We have free antenatal system in this country. And we have a national health insurance. A lot of people along the coast who are registered for this national health insurance, but the facility to take care of them is a problem.
The loan facility has a grace period of 4 years and a repayment period of 17 years at 0% rate of interest.
President John Mahama has sworn into office a new 13-member board of the National Peace Council. He tasked the board to intensify its engagement with political parties and civil society to sustain the country's peace ahead of the polls.
The National Peace Council (NPC) is an independent statutory national peace institution established by the National Peace Council Act 2011. The 13-member National Peace Council is mandated by law to facilitate and develop mechanisms to prevent, manage and resolve conflict and to build sustainable peace in the country. The members of the council represent various religious, traditional and social groups. Reverend Emmanuel Asante has been re-elected to chair the council. Most Reverend Vincent Soaboyna, representing the Catholic Bishops' Conference, Most Reverend Professor Emmanuel Mate from the Christian Council, Apostle Dr. Poku Onyina from the Ghana Pentecostal Council, Bishop James Kwekusa, representing the National Council for Christian and Charismatic Churches, Malvi Mohammed bin Salia from the Ahmadiyya Muslim Group, Sheikh Mohammed Gidal from the Al Sunnah Muslim Group, Imam Awal Shuab representing the Tijaniya Muslim Group, Osofu Kofi Atabwachi from the Practitioners of African Traditional Religion, Nanasusubribi Krobia Asante representing the National House of Chiefs, Mr. Shaibu Abubakar, an identifiable group, Wanep Ghana, Reverend Dr. Amodakon, an identified group, Institute of Retired Pastors, and Nanaje Kuma Difia Mampohima, the president's nominee. The chairman of the council, Reverend Emmanuel Asante, pledged the council's commitment to discharge its duties without bias.
We do trust that we will be given the needed resources of this accommodation because we're still packing. And we shall, Your Excellency, to discharge our statutory duties.
President Mahama urged the council to continue to engage with political parties in the run-up to the November polls.
The National Peace Council is not and has not replaced the state's commitment to normal legal or security approaches to conflict. What it has done, however, is legalize the use of mediation and alternative resolution as a primary response to conflicts. I therefore urge the new government board that as mediators, you must at all times inspire the confidence in all parties that a fair process of negotiation is possible and that their interests and concerns will be respected in this process.
The council has officers in 9 regions working to facilitate peace and harmonious coexistence.
Residents of Akpoman in the Ga East municipality of the Greater Accra region have resorted to open defecation. This is because most of them do not have lavatory facilities in their home. A public toilet, which has also been built 8 years ago, has remained under lock and key. Our reporter Winifred Fum has visited the place and has filed this report.
Akpoma is a rural community in the Ga East municipality of the Greater Accra region. Most people here are peasant farmers. Over the years, the residents have resorted to open defecation, a situation that has become a norm in the community. Almost all the houses in this community lack lavatory facilities. This is because most landlords in the community invest in rooms for rent without factoring in places of convenience. This has forced tenants to also indulge in the practice of open defecation. Almost all the lands in the community have also been sold out to private developers. According to opinion leaders in the area, a land was allocated to the community water and sanitation for the construction of a public place of convenience to reverse the trend of open defecation. 8 years on, the building has remained under lock and key. The reason, I was told, is that the contractor and the community water and sanitation officials have been involved in a court case all this while over payment issues. Mr. John Saki is the Ga East Municipal Chief Executive.
According to the contractor, he has finished his job and community water need to pay him. Community water said by the engineering work, he having done a very good job, So that dragged on, and finally court gave the ruling, and then that paved way for us to actually go in. We have fixed it, and we have done the adverts as they have directed for people to apply so that they can be given the mandate to manage it.
This refuse dump, which is in the middle of the community, now serves as a place of convenience for residents. According to them, those who want privacy have to wait for the cover of darkness to attend nature's call here. Pupils of the Akpoma Basic and Junior High School also use this place. There is a lavatory facility in the school, but the children are forced to use the refuse dump because their teachers who share the facility with them say the children mess up the place. Residents are worried about the health implications of the practice.
We are always reading around the facility, yet the place has never been open to us.
The refuse dump is too close to my church. The stench emanating from the place makes it difficult to stay in church.
If you open this toilet and people are going in and people going to the bush, which one is good? Then you come, we are going to give you mosquito nets, we'll give you this, cholera and all that. Isn't this better than going to the bush?
According to Mr. Saki, the facility is not intended for the residents.
The public toilet is meant for visitors. You see, if you are in transit, that's where you have to go, and not people who have built their houses and have rented it out, and then saying that there's no public toilet in the community. It's not right.
Well, if it's not for the township, how are we going to benefit? We've given the land for the toilet to be built. So if we are not benefiting from it, why should you give the land? So if he thinks that the toilet is not for the township, and all those who are in the township will build their own toilet, he should come and take the toilet from here.
To stop the practice of open defecation, the Assembly has launched a program urging every household to have a toilet facility at half the cost, while the Assembly bears the rest of the cost. But the residents say they can't afford even half the cost.
How do they expect us to get 3,000 Ghana cedis to construct a toilet facility? It's too expensive.
Although every household must own a toilet facility, which at the moment is not the case at Akpoma, the residents are appealing to the Gais Municipal Assembly to open the public toilet to them. They believe that will bring an end to the open defecation in the area. With more than a third of the total world population living without proper toilets, the United Nations General Assembly has recognized sanitation as a separate human right, and this is in an effort to curb a major source of deadly infections. For GBC24, Winifred Ofum, Akpoma.
Hello, good evening and welcome. We are grateful to have you join us for the business segment of the news. I am Dorothy Ajimine. A renowned economist, advisor to the UN Secretary General and Director of the Earth Institute, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, has described coal as a dangerous energy source which most developed countries, including the US, are decommissioning. He has therefore advised Ghana to tread cautiously on the path of coal energy exploration. Professor Sachs was speaking at a public lecture on sustainable development goals and economic growth in Africa.
Ghana is neck deep into the exploration of coal energy options, with a $1.5 million coal plant to be established in the central region by 2017. But the director of the Earth Institute at the Columbia University and economics wonk, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, raises the red flag.
I would not want to see Ghana or any other country build up a major new coal sector, because I think the consequences would probably be disappointing over time. In the United States, we're moving out of coal. But again, I don't want to give specific advice except to say that Ghana needs to plan its long-term energy future.
At a public lecture on sustainable development goals and economic growth in Africa, Professor Sachs touched on the economic challenges, prospects, and opportunities of African economies. He presented an assessment of how Ghana, and for that matter Africa, fared under the Millennium Development Goals, which spanned 2000 to 2015. A champion of the Sustainable Development Goals, which seek to, among other things, end extreme poverty by 2030, the professor is optimistic that Ghana will be able to meet the target. The development economist urges Ghana to take charge of her own technology.
Governments aren't too good at running businesses, and they should focus on their core functions of making sure that the infrastructure is working, making sure that children are healthy and getting a good education, making sure that the environment is being protected, because private business won't care too much about that either.
The Sustainable Development Goals replace the Millennium Development Goals, which aim to make the world a better place by reducing inequality and improving access to health care.
EDC Investment has launched its public initial offer IPO for the EDC Money Market Fund from now till 18 July 2016. The fund, which is expected to raise 500,000 Ghana cedis, is going out for 1 Ghana cedi for a unit price. The main objective of the fund is to maximize income in line with prevailing Ghanaian money market rates while aiming to preserve capital and to maintain a high degree of liquidity.
EDC Investment is the investment and fund management subsidiary of EcoBank Capital in Ghana. EDC is part of the EcoBank Transnational Incorporated Assets Management business. The company operates in stock brokerage, corporate finance, and asset management. The company has over the years introduced a number of products onto the market. Thus include the EDC Fixed Income Fund and the EDC Ghana Balanced Fund, with the EDC Money Market Fund being the latest addition. The Money Market Fund would pool resources from investors and invest it on their behalf for higher returns. According to them, individuals and institutions can take advantage of the fund instead of opting for savings at the bank because the money market fund can yield higher dividends. Retail investors can invest a minimum amount of 100 Ghana cedis, while institutional investors can invest a minimum of 50,000 Ghana cedis. According to the directors of EDC Investment, they will invest in short-term debt instruments available on the market to give investors high returns on their investments in a short period. The fund is also open-ended in nature. This means investors can redeem their investments at any time. The managing director of EDC Investment, Kisi Antonio, said the fund will be managed within rigid and transparent guidelines to seek preservation of capital, liquidity, and competitive yields.
The fund will invest in a wide range of issuers, holding to one of the basic tenets of a conservative investment approach, which is proper diversification. The fund will adhere to rigid credit standards to ensure that the portfolio has a level of risk where there will be no capital losses. The fund offers flexibility to investors as there is no requirement to commit funds for any period, and there are no penalties for any redemptions. The fund will be managed with very high levels of liquidity in order to meet investors' redemption requests. There will be no fees to subscribe or redeem from the fund, thus allowing investors the freedom to move their assets in and out of the fund as often as they want.
The initial public offer of the EDC Money Market Investment Funds starts from 27th June to 18th July, with units selling for 1 Ghana cedi.
The Finance Minister, Mr. Setekpe, has said although UK's exit from the EU resulted in some uncertainties around the cedi, which led to its losing value against some major currencies, the local currency, however, regained its grounds days after. He said the dollar has the upper hand among all the currencies the cedi trades with, and this led to the local currency gaining its ground despite the uncertainties. The Finance Minister also said Ghana is part of the Commonwealth and has a long-standing relationship with the UK, which cannot be tainted with the Brexit.
As the dollar strengthened and as the euro and the pound sterling started shaking, you saw gold prices begin to go up. And that's because gold is a haven commodity, what we call a haven. It forms part of the reserves of central banks.
You're watching News Hour, and this is the business segment. Insurance news is next. One of the old principles introduced to guide the operations of insurance is utmost good faith. This principle requires that anybody or subject matter that is due for insurance must honestly disclose the full facts about his property, which is called material facts relevant by law. GBC24 Insurance News takes you through utmost good faith.
Utmost good faith originated from the Marine Insurance Act of 1906 to help insurers prevent adverse of selection. This is the honest disclosure of material facts relevance or required for that insurance to take place. The disclosure will enable the underwriter to determine the premium to charge for a particular insurance risk that is being assumed to avoid misrepresentation. The utmost good faith deals with the proposals from the insurer and insurance company. According to the managing director at Vanguard Assurance, Mr. Charles Anso, both parties have a duty or role to play as far as the disclosure of the risk is concerned.
If you were to determine the premium or the rates, you might have a higher rate than the location B. So in so doing, you might have not disclosed the true facts of the location to your insurer, and it can lead to either avoiding the claim, that's repudiating the claim, or there are certain punitive measures that the insurance company can take against you, the claimants.
There are principles that govern utmost good faith. One of such are issuing an insurance form and certificates to the insurer by the company. This helps to settle claims amicably in case of any eventuality, but in a case of pre-existing state, no claims will be made. The training manager at Metropolitan Life Ghana, Mr. Samuel Tindabil, explains what happens to a policyholder when the true state of a property is not disclosed.
If at the time at which you were signing onto the policy, you to yourself do not actually know that you have that sickness, of course you cannot disclose it unless you have that fact before signing onto the policy that you can disclose it. So if it is tested or it is determined that at the time you were enrolling onto the policy, you had no knowledge of the existence of that sickness within you, of course, insurance cannot repudiate the claim.
Insurance experts advise all insurance companies that all clauses or warranties should be fully explained to insurers before they enter into any contract.
Insurance news was brought to you by SIC Live. We have more news coming up shortly. Thank you for staying on. In the health segment, the Minister for Health, Mr. Alex Segbefia, says without the involvement of men in family planning, the fight against reducing maternal and infant mortality can hardly be won. To this end, he has called for an aggressive education campaign right from the home to the workplace, as well as making a range of family planning methods available through medical facilities and social marketing.
Every day, many women in Ghana suffer severe complications during pregnancy and childbirth. Most of these pregnancies are unplanned and can be prevented by family planning or the use of contraceptives. Family planning offers a host of additional social and economic benefits by reducing maternal mortality and morbidity, as well as reducing infant mortality. It was in the light of this that the Society of Obstetrics and Gynecologists of Ghana chose the theme Family Planning and Contraception, a Key to National Health and Development, for its 7th Annual General and Scientific Meeting in Kumasi. The president of the Society of Obstetrics and Gynecologists of Ghana, Professor Kwakumi, said the lack of access to information services, concern about health effects of contraception, and cultural issues are some of the barriers to family planning.
We obstetricians and gynecologists are the core experts of women's health, and we are supposed to regulate national fertility with our people around. So we need a lot of cooperation, we need a lot of deliberation to move this country forward in terms of fertility and its regulation.
The Minister for Health, Mr. Alex Segbefia, advocated active male involvement in family planning and contraception.
Low rate of activity, of active male involvement in the family planning and contraceptive choices of our women is a major disincentive to increasing the contraceptive usage. Engaging men in sexual and reproductive health encourages shared responsibility in their roles as partners and parents.
The chairman of the local organizing committee, Dr. Frank Ankobia, said Kumasi has its full complement of family planning services with the establishment of 2 private fertility centers in the metropolis.
Mitral valve regurgitation is a heart condition where the mitral valve in the heart causes blood to leak backward into the heart. Heart valves work like one-way gates, helping blood flow in one direction between heart chambers or in and out of the heart, but when the valve is defective, the blood leaks. 28-year-old Happy Kugbezi is suffering from this condition and needs 26,000 cedis to undergo 2 corrective surgeries.
4 years ago, Happy experienced severe cold and typhoid, which was later diagnosed as severe mitral regurgitation. Due to the condition, she experiences severe pains in her thorax and frequent tiredness coupled with sleepless nights. Doctors would conduct 2 surgeries to repair the leaking mitral valves. The total cost of treatment is 26,000 Ghana cedis. Happy is appealing to the public for assistance. Donations could be made to the Fidelity Bank Nungwa branch. Account name Raymond Toko. Account number 203 088 522 4918. Payments could also be made to the National Cardiothoracic Center of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
The Department of Social Welfare is announcing for the information of the general public that a missing but found boy is in their custody. The boy was found about a week ago on a commercial minibus shuttling between Mamprobi and Kaneshi. The boy, who is believed to be about 5 years old, was sent to the Kaneshi police station at 4:30 p.m. on June 23rd by one Albert Quay, who claimed to have found the boy on the bus. According to the Department of Social Welfare, the boy cannot speak, making it difficult to trace his parents. The department is therefore appealing to anyone who knows him or his family to report to the Department of Social Welfare, Zone D, Kaneshi, or the nearest police station. And that's it for the health segment.
Welcome, this is the international segment. Scientists have discovered a large helium gas field in Tanzania. Geologists at Denham and Oxford universities say with world supplies running out, the find is a game changer. Helium is used in hospitals, in MRI scanners, as well as in spacecraft telescopes and radiation monitors. Until now, the precious gas has been discovered only in small quantities during oil and gas drilling. Using a new exploration approach, researchers found large quantities of helium within the Tanzania East African Rift Valley. Helium neon gas lasers are used to scan barcodes at supermarkets checkout. Helium is formed by the slow and steady radioactive decay of terrestrial rock.
Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who is also chairperson for the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has called for support in eradicating terror groups in the region. The ECOWAS chair highlighted financial constraints facing many African countries and called for international support in the fight against terrorism. Many West African countries fear the insurgency posed by the Islamic State militia, who have in the recent past carried out attacks in Burkina Faso, Mali and Ivory Coast. We have sports next.
Good evening, let's update ourselves from happenings in the world of sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa to Cape Coast, where the Electricity Company of Ghana has disconnected supply to new Cape Coast Sports Stadium. The ECG says the stadium owes over 719.79 thousand Ghana cedis. The regional council chairman of the Public Utility Workers Union of ECG, Enoch Paul Hayes, said the disconnection forms part of an exercise by the ECG to recover monies owed it.
The Cape Coast Sports Stadium was only commissioned in May by the President John Mahama and has hosted one international match, that is, a football game between the national under-20 football team, the Black Satellite, against their Ethiopian counterparts in an African Youth Championship qualifier, and also the grand finale of the Athletics Open Championship. In a telephone interview, the Regional Council Chairman of the Public Utility Workers Union of ECG, Enoch Hayes, walks us through how the debt came about.
This debt of the Cape Coast Stadium did not just arrive yesterday. When they started the construction, the Chinese who are working there, they have air conditions in all their rooms, over 60 rooms with air conditions. And these were used all over. So between the 3 years of construction, the accumulated bills that have come up, that is what is up to the 719,000 Ghana cedis that the stadium is owing ECG. This is not the first time we are going there. We have been there several times. Anytime you go there, they give you people you should go and see. You go there, they say go and see the regional council. You go to the regional council and say go and see the sports council. Go to the Ministry of Sports. And we don't really know what is happening because somebody who is in charge today must find a way to pay.
The multi-purpose sports facility boasts of 21 fully furnished rooms that accommodate 2 individuals per room, 2 halls for table tennis and boxing. There are 2 outdoor basketball courts, 1 handball and 1 tennis court, an 8-lane running tracks and a football pitch, plus an electronic scoreboard. The 15,000 capacity stadium is expected to host the finals of the 2016 MTN FA Cup and the finals of the National Women's Football League. The edifice is the 1st stadium after the Accra Babayara in Kumasi 2nd D Sipon Stadium and the Tamale Sports Stadium. To swimming now, and one of Ghana's sensation swimmers, that's Abiku Jackson, has set a sight on a national record of 24.00 seconds at the Accra Open Swimming Championship. This comes as a boost ahead of the upcoming Rio Olympics. The 16-year-old Jackson will be joined by Kea Folsen to represent Ghana for the first time at the Olympic swimming event.
Come on.
The University of Ghana Swimming Pool was the venue for the 2016 edition of the Accra Open Swimming Championship. The event was a collaboration between the Ghana Swimming Association, the Minister for Youth and Sport, Nilante van der Poy, and the NIIT. It had more than 150 swimmers from most clubs in the capital participating. Swimmers battled in the 50-meter freestyle, 50-meter backstroke, 50-meter breaststroke, 50-meter butterfly, 4x50-meter medley relay, and 4x50-meter freestyle relay events. Youngster Abiku Jackson was the toast of fans as he set a new national record of 24.00 seconds in the men's 200-meter freestyle event. With the month of August just around the corner for the Rio Olympic Games, head coach of the national swimming team, Mr. Kojo Abiu Jackson, touched on preparations.
What we've done is to set our targets for 2016. We've done some strategic analysis of him, what we should do, what can boost us. So far we're on course. He just dropped his time by I think 2 or 3 microseconds. That's good. We have another month of training to go. We believe that by the time we get there, we'll hit our target.
The president of the Ghana Swimming Association, Mr. Theo Wilson Edzi, touched on expectations for the Rio Games.
Abiku just set his new record in the 50 free. He's done 23.96 seconds, and that is the new one. Of course, it looks good, but more room for improvement. He's going to the Olympics as a wild card, and we expect him to do a precious 23 there.
16-year-old Abiku Jackson says he's looking forward to Rio with great optimism.
Coming here to drop my time, drop a national record is actually one of the greatest things that's happened today. Well, I'm training really hard, training twice a day, 6 times in a week. It's really hard. The support is there, but it's not going over my head. You think you have the fame, you can do this. I have to train to prove I can do this. And I'm training really hard towards the Rio Olympics. It's actually a blessing for me going to the Olympics. It was actually a dream. I see myself dropping my time, being the best, and make the country Ghana proud.
The upcoming Rio Olympics will be the first time Ghana will participate in swimming at the event since making a debut in 1952, some 64 years ago. Smart Root Taekwondo Club based in Las Ababa of Accra has received equipment worth €2,500 from a philanthropist. The gesture is expected to boost the club's participation ahead of the upcoming Greater Accra Taekwondo Championship. These are some members of the Smart Roots Taekwondo Club based in La. The club has been noted for churning out practitioners from an early stage. The bid to better position them to achieve their aim, a philanthropist, Mr. Edmund Fletcher, has donated equipment worth €2,500 to the club. The donation comes at a time the club is preparing to participate in the upcoming Greater Accra Taekwondo Championship set for July this year. The items included helmets, mouth guards, shin guards, uniforms, among others. Mr. Fletcher hopes the items will spur them on for greater heights.
I hope they'll be championing the cause of the game, which I am very interested in from my childhood. And Smart Roots will be a leading martial arts club in the near future.
Officials in charge of the club said the timing was good.
We have a lot of competitions ahead, and during our training we realized that there will be injuries and all that, but with the help of this equipment we are able to secure ourselves from every injury that will happen. We are able to train more, get used with the equipment, so that when you enter into the mat to fight, you realize that we have that courage to fight, and this equipment is going to help us a long way to be the future champions we want to be.
With this we are going to train more and train more, and I think the best is going to come out of us, and we are very happy.
Smart Roots Taekwondo Club says they have been motivated to improve in their championships. That's all for sports. Entertainment is next.
Hello, good evening. Time for some art news. My name is Valerie Danso. Johannes Stolter uses surrealism as a way of art. Surrealism was a cultural movement that began in the early 1920s and is best known for its visual artworks and writings. Johannes is internationally known for his unique art. A bench warrant has been issued for the arrest of hip life artist Waisa for his failure to turn up in court the second time. Waisa has been charged for indecent exposure while performing on stage. On February 5, 2016, the court issued a bench warrant for his arrest after he failed to appear before it. His lawyer, Jerry Avonogbo, told the court that after the last adjourned day, all attempts to reach the accused had proved futile. The court, presided over by Abna Opon Ajindoku, upheld the request of the prosecution and ordered the arrest of the musician and adjourned the case to the 13th of July 2016. That's all in this segment.
That's a wrap on the news for now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back at 10:30.